Welcome back, everybody. This is AndrewDFS, ready to break down the Week 6 DraftKings competition for the main slate. But before we dive in, wanted to just give a shout out to FFMetrics. I'm a correspondent to that site, and basically that site's run by the brilliant RC Fisher, who is an independent scout, has the best fantasy football projections known to man. So definitely check out that site, ffmetrics.com. Follow them on Twitter at ffmetrics, and they also have their own Twitch channel as well. So without further ado, first thing on our agenda today is to discuss the week 5 winner of the Millie Maker competition. And this username, Buckeye151, that user won $1 million. Big congrats to him. The guy only submitted one lineup, which is freaking incredible. I hope he does something fun with that money. Kudos to him, but let's see how he did it. So, top of the list right there, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. Exactly what we talked about last week, folks. You had Burrow going inside a dome with Chase, and Chase really hasn't done anything all year, and now he just pops off for the game of his life. Awesome call. And you could see that the two players between them, like Joe Burrow with a 6.2% ownership, in that Millie Maker, and Jamar Chase with only 20%, which is more on the chalkier side, but like that stack, Burrow and Chase, getting them at like 26% like combined, like last year you would never be able to see something like that. But because they started off slow, this was the game to have them. Now they're both going to be very chalky because Joe Burrow's back on the map. Okay, what's the next player on the lineup? Next player's David Montgomery, who was one of the chalkiest players on the board, 44% ownership. But what did we talk about last week? There's chalk that you fade, and there's chalk you bite. And it was just set up so well for Montgomery that it was almost impossible to fade him. So, on top of having Montgomery, though, a very sharp play in this, and we talked about him a little bit too on this podcast, was Adam Thielen. So now he's at 5,100. So it kind of deterred people away. But what's going on in Carolina is that Bryce Young is causing the Panthers to fall behind by like 20 points. And then teams are playing a prevent defense at the end. And then he's getting all of his like garbage time stats. And who's benefiting from that? Adam Thielen. So for like 3 straight weeks, the guy has been fire. And now we'll dive back into him and see like what can he replicate that against Miami. So the Montgomery and Thielen stack was the second piece to the puzzle here. Now we're getting into the third piece of the puzzle. Breece Hall plus the Jets D, another stack that we liked on this show. You play the Jets running back with the defense, and you know, to be honest with you, the Jets D didn't look all that great until they had that fumble recovery for a touchdown, so they covered it. They were by no means the best play on the slate for defense, but it worked for this guy. I think the Saints defense had maybe like 10 more points than the Jets D last week. So that was and it was cheaper too. So again, this isn't the optimal lineup. This is the lineup that won $1 million in the DraftKings Millie Maker contest. Okay. Now last two pieces we'll talk about. Dallas Goddard and Devon Achane. So Goddard just out of nowhere, freak explosion, just dropped 28 points. Like we haven't seen a main slate tight end throw up that kind of points in a long time. So kudos to him. 4,200, like that is a great ROI for the tight end position. Dallas Goddard killed it, came out of nowhere. You almost had to have him in your lineup to really distinguish yourself at the top. And then Devon Achane. What can we say about this guy? This guy has been literally crushing it since his 50-point week. Unfortunately, he got injured in this game, so he's going to miss the next game, but he's been absolute fire. And the thing that I want to point out here is if you look at the field and you sum up all of the ownership values, you get 167.3%. So that's not the best metric in the world, but what, like, if you just want a rule of thumb, like usually Millie Maker winners are under 100%, like ownership wise. But you could see what the guy did here, and he basically said, "Okay, I'm eating the chalk at the running back positions. Fine, whatever." But he wanted explosion out of, like, he went with the stack that was more contrarian, like Burrow Chase, to sort of make up ground in the pool, if that makes sense. So that's the way you have to think about it, folks. Like, you can have chalk at positions, especially, like, I'm okay with chalk at defense, running back, tight end, but like really with the QBs and the receivers, you want to be careful because that's where you can set it off. So even though Chase was 20% owned, when you stack him with Burrow, maximum amount of people that can have Chase and Burrow in their lineup is 6%, right? So that assumption, that very conservative assumption, assumes that everyone who played Burrow also played Chase. There's probably a few lineups that only played Burrow and maybe went with Boyd or Mixon, something like that. So you can see there that Burrow Chase stack is not chalky whatsoever. So, okay, we talked about week 5. Congrats to Buckeye 151. Now let's make you the $1 million winner for week 6. So, let's look at the full slate. Okay, so first game on our lineup that we're gonna break down. We have the Commanders, who got smoked by the Bears 2 weeks ago, playing the Falcons, who all of a sudden Ritter just decided to have the best game of his life. So people are going to be all over that. Ritter, Pitts, London. These are cheap plays. Now the fact that Ritter just threw for 300 yards out of nowhere, everyone wants in on London and Pitts. Is it going to work? Maybe. But maybe the real question is, like, everyone was playing Bijan, but now maybe Bijan's gonna have like holes to actually like get the, teams were really playing like stacking the box, not letting him get outside. Like, is this better for Bijan more so than Pitts and London? We'll get into that. So over under there's 42.5, not the highest game on the slate by any means. Then we have Vikings and Bears. Weather alert here, guys. There's going to be rain. There's going to be wind. So got to be a little careful with this game. Vikings are without Justin Jefferson and are somehow still favored by 3 points, which is interesting. Over under there, 43.5. Again, by no means do I consider that to be. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game, but there could be a few pieces that we can utilize there. Seahawks Bengals. So Seahawks are coming off a bye week, traveling to the East Coast, 10 o'clock start. Bengals with their impressive win back on the map against the Cardinals, and now these two teams are facing off. And weather here might be an issue, but not so much as the Cleveland game. I think there's going to be like just rain in Ohio in general, so watch out for that. People are going to be on Burrow and Chase, so not going to be exactly a contrarian play this week, which makes sense, right? I mean, they exploded. When they explode, market goes after them. So we'll have to reconsider that. 49ers Browns. So over under there is 36. Man, that is a nasty game, and there's going to be nasty weather in Ohio. So this, especially, I think Cleveland's going to get the worst end of that. So Niners favored by 10. No Watson. Browns are down their best offensive lineman, who like had 100 straight starts or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I can't see anything on the Browns side that I would want here. Bad weather, going up against one of the best defenses like that we've seen in this era. I don't know. I think the only play here is CMC and San Francisco defense, and both of which are going to be chalky. Saints Texans, we're going into the dome. Saints coming off a 4-point victory over the Pats. Bill Belichick, 2 worst losses in his career, back-to-back weeks. Saints shut him out in Foxborough. Can they carry that momentum into Houston? Houston coming off a loss against the Falcons where Stroud looked really good against a pretty feisty Falcons D. Saints D is no doubt better, but you have the Texans who are underdogs. 42 and a half is the total. I don't really love the um over under there. Um I don't know that I'd play a QB from here, but I think this is a spot where the Texans can bounce back, even though it's just like, oh, Saints just exploded. Like it has to be them. But I don't know. There's some hope for Houston as well. Colts Jaguars. Jaguars coming off pounding with pounding the Bills, right? Now they travel all the way back from London. They were in London for 2 straight weeks. Colts coming off a pretty big win against Tennessee, but I think the main storyline here is Minshew looking for his revenge. So over under here 44 and a half. It's more in the mid-range play. I could see a Minshew revenge game. A lot of people are going to be on Trevor here, Trevor Ridley, something like that. I don't hate that either. I think this is a game you could definitely attack. Weather's going to be good. But yeah, I think the cheap play here, if you want something like um to go against the green, it would probably be like Minshew Pittman and then bring it back with like Ridley or something like that. Panthers Dolphins. Man, minus 14. Dolphins are favored by 14. You have the best offense going against the worst team in the league. 47 and a half is the over under. I promise you that most of those points are people are thinking that's going to be allocated to Miami. So, a couple things here. Game script might not be set up well for Tyreek and Tua. They can easily jump on top, but we've seen Miami just throttle people. I mean, uh, they throttle people anyways. There's going to be no A chain here, so Mostert's going to be a chalky play. Miami D is going to be a good play. If you have a defense going against Bryce Young, you play it. The only thing you fear is they pull Young out and put Dalton in, and then Dalton carves you up. So I don't think Miami's gonna let their foot off the gas. Miami's pretty a feisty team. Detroit's feisty too, but they let Bryce Young come back in that game. I feel like Miami's gonna just roast the guy. So again, Thielen's an option here too if you don't believe. Like you could easily play the Miami D, right? They'll get their points. They might have a touchdown, and then Thielen will come in and just get like it will do his thing, what he's been doing, like just carving people up, getting like 8 catches for 100 yards. Maybe you get a touchdown. I hate playing offensive players against defenses, but this is if you're ever gonna do it, this is the type of situation where you're sort of attacking garbage time like that. That's sort of the script here, guys. Bryce Young's not showing anything. Don't be scared to play defenses against him. Don't be afraid taking a minus 14 against the guy. Like the only thing you should fear is an injury in that game. That's the only way they're not covering that spread. There's no way Bryce Young stays in the game all 4 quarters and they cover this spread. I just can't see it. The guy is just absolute garbage. And it's not his fault. The offensive line is garbage. I should take that back. You give Bryce Young time, he's okay. But truth of the matter is he doesn't have that kind of offensive surrounding and supporting cast around him. We talked about it last week. Put Bryce Young on the Falcons. Put Bryce Young on the 49ers especially. He's a much different player. I'm not saying he's better than Purdy, but he is in literal like hell NFL wise. So also consider that as well. And it might just ruin his career. It might shake his confidence. So keep that in mind. Okay. Um where are we now? Lions Bucks. So we have Bucks coming off a bye week. All my numbers and models are indicating that Bucks are going to cover this spread or whatever. I don't buy it. I think Lions are the real deal, even though the Bucks are well rested for this game. Lions are going to be without Gibbs again. They might be without Laporta and even Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Montgomery should have another big day here. Maybe even the Jamison Williams this time around too. Montgomery got robbed last week as well. Like he had maybe like two or three like separate occasions where he was gonna punch it in from the one, and I think Craig Reynolds stole one, and then Josh Reynolds, the Reynolds brothers, both stole a touchdown from him. So Yeah, not. I mean, Montgomery still played really well. He was in the $1 million lineup, as you guys saw, but yeah, didn't really pan out for Montgomery as much as we'd hope. Patriots Raiders. So we have the McDaniels revenge game here, Garoppolo revenge game. Like, this is another situation where like everything's indicating that Pats are gonna have a bounce back week, right? They've been literally shut out 2 weeks in a row. Belichick's going up against his former disciple. I think this story in New England's over. I'm sick and tired thinking that Belichick's gonna bounce back. It's over. I think Vegas is gonna win this game. I think they'll probably win it comfortably too. Watch for an Adams bounce back in this game. Even if you guys watch the Pat McAfee show, and they had an interview with Aaron Rodgers on Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, you heard the guy say, if there's a receiver that wasn't really targeted, right? The following week, that like an alpha receiver, the following week they get a lot of the targets. So that's essentially what's gonna happen here, guys. Adams going up against this former team in the Packers last week on Monday Night Football was barely targeted. He is pissed. I'll tell you that. Like, it is very obvious that he's pissed. Like, if they're ever going to make this thing right with Adams, this guy's going to get like 20 targets in the game. So this is the perfect situation. Adams is not chalky. He hasn't been doing well. He's going up against the Pats D, which is like flailing all over the place. No Christian Gonzalez, no Matt Judon. Like, this is the spot where you want to play Devontae Adams. He's due for a bounce back week, and you bet your butt that he is going up to McDaniels and Garoppolo, and he is fuming. How could you not let this guy have a game against this former team? Like, it just blew my mind. Like, it sucks, but I think that if there's any future of Adams in Vegas, the guy needs 20 targets next week. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Cardinals Rams 48.5. This is the highest over under on the slate. Isn't that crazy? There's no 50-point game on the slate. Well, that's what happens when you don't have Mahomes or Allen on the slate either. So I guess you can say Hertz is there. Maybe the Hertz game, which we'll talk about next, should be a little higher. But 48 and a half. I mean, that's not too much. So you have the Rams playing in a dome with Stafford. Cup didn't really go too crazy. He was relatively tamed. He was not worth his salary last week. Maybe he can explode. Cardinals let Chase go crazy. So perhaps this is the Stafford game where he just peppers Cup with targets. Keep in mind, that was Cup's first game back. And in his first game back, he threw up 25 points. I played Cup because I knew a lot of people wouldn't, and I wanted that chance of like, let me get 40 when no one else is playing this guy. That was my thinking. Well, good news, he didn't explode, and people aren't on him this week either. So like he's a good play again this week. But Stafford, because now people are saying like, oh, this guy's got two number one receivers in Cup and Puka. Okay, let's play him. He's gonna be the chalkiest play on the slate. I don't love it, but I do like that you can offset the chalk with Cup a little bit, or even Puka, because neither of them are highly owned at this moment. Last game on the slate, we have Eagles and Jets. So you have Eagles without Jalen Carter, without Darius Slay, going into New York against the Jets D, who they had an emotional victory against the Broncos. So there's some concern there. Over under 41 and a half. I don't like teams. Sorry for like going off on a tangent. I don't like it when teams have like emotional victories like that for their like OC, like close game, whatever, like bunch of storylines that they usually come back flat the next week. But I have this weird feeling that the fact that everyone was on Wilson and Wilson last week, Wilson and Wilson last week, I think it might hit this week. I think that could be a cheap play where you have Zach targeting Garrett Wilson and the Eagles just saying, okay, we're taking out Brees Hall. Like, Zach beat us, and I'm not saying he's gonna beat them, but I think they can cover that spread, and I think they can have good fantasy days, and they're not going to be chalky at all. So that's another contrarian play. Okay, So that does it for the roundup. We'll go into DraftKings in a moment. And just to repeat myself, monitor the weather in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, in Chicago in the morning, because that should really you should really take that into consideration when you're playing those players and who you're exactly playing. Are you gonna lean more defenses and running backs, or are you gonna lean more on the pass catchers and QBs? So now the fun part of the program. Let's go into DraftKings. Okay. As we normally do, we'll start with our QB stack that we like. So just starting from the top of the list, Hurts against the Jets. Hurts had a great week last week. He was the highest scoring QB, but I don't really love the matchup against the Jets. The Jets have a very good defense, and I don't want to pay 8,200 for going up against New York in New York. So next we have Tua, who is playing Carolina, and again, like I know that Miami likes to throw up points here, but I always get nervous. Like that, this is a really bad mismatch. I mean, you can argue that this could be worse than the Giants getting squashed and Denver getting squashed. So Denver, Giants, and Carolina. We talked about this in like the week one like preview of the DFS matchups. We talked about it all off season with RC Fisher. What do they all have in common, guys? Their O line is trash. Okay? So that in itself like just tells you that the teams are going to be bad. They cannot protect their QBs. They're three of the worst O lines in the league, and they are going to suffer because of it. So this could be over very quickly. So be very careful playing Tua and Tyreek. That's going to not only be a chalky play, it's going to be expensive as well. So there's a lot of risk with that. Fields. If Fields, if Fields has good weather, I love this stack. Like okay weather meaning like it's not pouring rain, it's not windy. This stack right here, guys, it's not highly owned and it is hitting like crazy. I have no idea how DJ Moore is only priced 6,500. It blows my mind. The guy has been unstoppable. Like he's on a tear like more than like Puka shouldn't be more expensive than DJ Moore. I know Puka's been going crazy, but that doesn't make sense to me at all. When you have Cup there, you see like Puka at 8,000. How is Puka 8,000 and DJ Moore 6,500? It makes no sense. There's a big price discrepancy there, and people aren't catching on to it in DraftKings either. But again, there's bad weather in this one, so we might not be able to hit it, and we might have to wait a week, which is good. So you can play it one or two ways. You can say, okay, I think DJ Moore's not going to do good this week, which is good because then people will maybe people like forget about him and you can play him next week. But I might just bite the bullet here if the weather is decent. Doesn't look like it's gonna be, but one thing to consider. And on the Vikings side, like you can play like the play there, and it's not chalky, but it's very expensive. I hate doing this, but the play there, Justin Jefferson's gone. The number two target's TJ Hawkinson. I hate spending money on tight ends, guys, but if the weather's okay, again, this is all contingent on weather. This trio here could be in for a monster day. That could be a lineup winner right there. So keep that in mind. Again, monitor the weather, but that's stack number one that I wanted to talk to you about. And if you don't want to pay up for the tight end, feel free to go KJ Osborne. Feel free to go Addison. Addison's going to be chalky. And if you don't want DJ Moore, if you just want to play sort of like the weather is going to be bad, then I have a cheap running back for you. So Minnesota run D is actually like pretty good. And I know we're getting into running backs too early, but I just want to show you guys a very cheap play here. 4,400 guys for a running back that there's literally nobody behind Foreman. Guys, Roshan is out. Herbert's out. I think even their other like third string running backs out. Foreman has the backfield to himself. At 4,400, you take that. He's chalky, but you take it. Like you put Foreman there, and a lineup with him isn't necessarily Fields and Foreman. It's more like Foreman and play your Cup, player Adams. He's that like not throwaway, but like he's that good piece that lets you get those explosive players. Okay. Stack number one was Fields, and now let's look in. So Cousins, I wouldn't touch without Justin Jefferson. It's really tough, even though he has a really good matchup and he's not going to be chalky. I don't like his prospects there. Anthony Richardson on IR, we're not touching that. Lawrence is going to be really chalky. He's coming off a pretty decent game. I could see him just like just letting people down here. So I'm gonna pass on Lawrence. Goff might be okay, but he doesn't. I don't. There are a lot of question marks on his pass catchers, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta. Like I don't know. That might be more of a David Montgomery game than like a Goff like throwing a bunch of touchdowns game. Burrow. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about Burrow. You guys know that I loved Burrow last week. I'm fading him this week. So, reason why I'm fading him. Seattle's pass D, not that they're the next Legion of Boom or whatever, but it's better than their run D. The way you beat Seattle is beating them on the ground. And one guy that's looked really good is Joe Mixon. Even though the Cincy O-line hasn't really been able to hold up, really well. The guy has been getting carries. There was an instance where they were on the 1 yard line and they literally fed Mixon like 4 straight times. He couldn't punch it in. It wasn't his fault. The O line is just not gelling yet. They have a lot of new pieces there. I don't necessarily think they're like horrendous like Carolina or something. I think they're just gonna need time to gel. They're all new pieces. They're all like pieces that are okay, but they haven't really been together yet. So we need to give them time. The time is now, okay? Seattle Rundy is really freaking bad. So attack with Mixon. Everyone's gonna be on Burrow and Chase. Go a little contrary in there. Or you say, Andrew, shut up. I'm gonna play Burrow and Chase. They're great. I can't argue with you. I love Burrow and Chase too, but I'm not playing them this week. Stafford. Stafford is the next guy I want to talk to you guys about. He is going to be the chalkiest QB. Everybody is seeing that, oh, Joe Burrow ripped up Arizona. Now Stafford's going to do it. And I agree. It's chalky thinking. It's public's going to be all over this, but I don't care. I want Stafford in this game. And I want to stack him with Cup. So Cup's 9 grand, which is gonna deter people away from him. Okay, but I'm betting that Cup's that guy. I think he's gonna be that 50-point drop. So last week it was Chase, who's dropping 50 this week. If you're gonna win the Millie Maker, you need that 50-point player. This week it was Chase. Last week it was CMC. The week before Devon A-Chain. Next week, week 6. I think it's going to be Cooper Kupp. If you want to play a bring back piece here, this is going to really hurt. But Marquise Brown has been killing it. He's going to be really chalky. That's an option as a bring back piece. What if you want an out of nowhere, like Andrew, give me somebody that just might like do something crazy. Rondale Moore, 3,500. Guys, when James Conner went down, this guy started taking like carries out of the backfield. He looked really good. And the Rams secondary isn't all that great. We see a little questionable tag next to Marquise Brown. If this guy's hurt at all, he can Moore can take away some carries. Another like piece that we talk about on FFMetrics a lot, Michael Wilson. So if you were with us from the beginning, from the start of the summer, RC Fisher called this guy out as being like a legit wide receiver, like taken in the later rounds or whatever. And he hasn't really, he had his pop game against San Francisco, 2 touchdowns, and then against Cincy, who has a really good secondary, he went 2 targets, 18 yards. If there's any reason that Brown's like injured or whatever, Michael Wilson is another guy you can consider and not going to be chalky whatsoever. So people played Wilson last week because he was coming off that 2 touchdown game against 49ers. And then now he's off everyone's radar. So this is when you play him. And then the last piece you can do a bring back with here is Ertz. So Ertz, luckily, didn't screw his owners last week. He's still cheap this week at 3,600. Rams, let Goddard go nuts. So he only had 4 targets, but he saved his day with a touchdown. So that 4 targets, I don't know. Like you have 10, 8, 2, 10, 4. So he could, I don't know. It's tough. Like if you're either gonna get like a 8+ or a 4. The good thing is he hasn't had like 2 straight games of bad targets, so maybe like this week it's gonna dictate him getting more um looks. And again, guys, Cincy D is like top 5, so it could just be that. So here against Cincy, 4 targets. Dallas too. I mean, San Francisco has a really good D too. Like, don't get me wrong, but I can give him a pass on Cincy. Okay, so we talked about Stafford and Cup. We like that stack. Now we're gonna start getting a little bit cheaper. So let's go inside the QBs, and we left off at Stafford. Stroud, guys, Stroud played really good last week, but I don't know that I can trust him against the Saints defense. He's going to be at home. I do think the Texans are going to win. I just don't know that I want to play him in fantasy. Geno Smith going up against Cincy, 5,700. Would you believe me if I told you he's chalkier than Burrow this week? I don't get it. He's traveling to Cincy where they're going to have bad weather. Cincy's secondary is really good. No, thank you. I'll gladly pass on that. Purdy going inside Cleveland. That one is really, really rough, guys. I like Purdy. I promise you I'm going to play him in one of these stacks and really push for him, but not this week. Not in that shitty weather. That's more it's CMC's week for San Francisco. I don't think it's going to be a air raid in Cleveland, but if anyone can do it, it's him. Purdy in that system. I mean, he's good, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm saying put Bryce Young in there. Bryce Young in that system is not going to be as good as Purdy. Like, that system's great, and Purdy's really good too. So let's keep that in mind. Sam Howell going to Atlanta. So like Washington is due for a bounce back here. They got killed by Chicago. They rested. Atlanta's coming off a win. This could be a good play, but just keep in mind that this Falcons defense is kind of feisty, so be careful about that. We're not gonna play. I wouldn't play Mayfield against Detroit. Detroit D is way too good, and Mike Evans might not play. Carr against Houston. I can't see New Orleans just going crazy in Houston. Houston has a good D. They're coming off a loss. New Orleans is coming off a huge win. Like I don't love it. Garoppolo against his former team, maybe. I'm not gonna really get into it because I don't want to push for it too much. But if you want to get crazy and do a Garoppolo Adams stack, I could see the logic behind it. I could see it. Dobbs against Rams. I don't hate this one either. I'm gonna pass though. If you want to play it, fine. But yeah, I don't know how I really that one's tough. That one's really tough for me. Like you could easily do like a Dobbs like Michael Wilson stack and then bring back Cup and then just have like Adams and like CMC in there, just have all these like crazy players. But I think I'm gonna pass. Next one. Bryce Young. The only reason you would play Bryce Young here, guys, is for garbage time. And to be honest with you, I don't want to do that. There's just too many options for me to hope for garbage time. Like this guy is not looking like he's ready for the NFL, but again, it's really tough. Like it's his situation that's not making him look right for the NFL. So pass on him. Desmond Ritter and Gardner Minshew are going to be. Oh, actually, I have two more. So Minshew has his revenge game. I like him to stack with Pittman. So if we come here and play Pittman as well, who isn't really all that chalky, find him. Pittman, 6,300. And then, bring back pieces. You can play Ridley. You can do. Why the hell did I pick Mac Jones? Guys, don't do that. Do not play Mac Jones this year or ever. I don't know, like that Patriots offense and defense just looks really the end is near for New England. They're gonna probably go through a major rebuild this offseason. Bill Belichick's probably gonna leave. They won't fire a 6-time Super Bowl winning coach in the middle of the season, but I mean that he's like what he's done since Brady's left. I mean, yeah, it's been awful. It's been horrendous for them. Okay. Other players you can play here instead of Ridley. Kirk's gonna be very highly owned. Ingram is another guy you can play, and he's also chalky. Ridley's not chalky, and he's kind of like for a receiver of his caliber, he's kind of like on the cheap side. So definitely consider him in a plus matchup. You can also play ETN, who's not chalky at all, and he's going for a 7,100, so he's more on the expensive side. But again, like ETN's the type of player that can easily throw up 30, like, and nobody's playing him. Like those are the types of players you want to consider in the lineup. So that was a Gardner Minshew stack. Let's talk about two more down here. Let's look at Desmond Ritter. Promise you, not a lot of people are gonna play him, but if you wanted to, you can go London or Pitts with him in this stack. Or you can just play him without any pass catchers and just let him go and see what happens because Atlanta's kind of sporadic. So only thing I'm not gonna push this one too hard. I just wanted to bring it up. I shouldn't even play him in here. I'm not gonna like go build a lineup with him. But if he turned the corner, guys, if he figured something out, 5,000 is way too cheap for a QB that knows what he's doing against a Washington D that sometimes shows up, sometimes doesn't. I'm gonna bet that this was a blip on his radar. I don't think Ritter all of a sudden just figured out how to play quarterback. I think it was just one game. So I'm not going to overreact to it. But people will. And you could see it. It's in London are going to be very chalky plays. Like people are thinking that, okay, now he's back. Not that he was ever here. Like now he's okay. Like Ritter's a quarterback. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't want to play that. Last one I'm going to recommend. Zach Wilson. No Darius Slay. People are pissed off from the week prior. 4,900 guys. I want to play the Wilson stack here. So this one is not chalky because of what happened last week. And I think what's going to happen here is the Eagles are going to focus on shutting down Breece Hall. And it's going to allow Wilson to do well. So this might be it for I don't know if you wanted to play a bring back piece on Eagles. I would definitely avoid AJ Brown because it's very likely that Sauce is going to be on him. But I like Swift because the Jets you can attack him through the run defense more so through the pass, and I like Dallas Goedert or Devontae. So just stay away from AJ Brown. You can have any one of those bring back pieces. Those are all the stacks. Now let's like dive into like position by position. So running back wise, so we're gonna go a little quicker here. Stacks are usually where we want to spend a little more time, but running back wise, let's start from the top. CMC 9,500. You can do it. He has the 50-point potential. He's one of those players. Better hope he hits it though. He doesn't hit it, your week's over. 9,500. That is not a joke. I think no, Justin Jefferson had a 9,600 price tag. I was gonna say I think this is the most expensive I've seen a player this year. I can't wait till we get that one player with 10,000. That's gonna be like holy cow. He needs 40 to do well, and 40 for good ROI, and that is like whoa. That is a tough bar to climb up. Not that like 9,500 is all that different. You would need 38 points for a 4x ROI, but yeah, I could see the logic for it, but I'm gonna pass on it. David Montgomery. So I love that he's not chalky here. St. Brown and Laporta are not um both are questionable for the game. No Gibbs again. It's the same situation as last time, except now you don't have Laporta. Guys, Montgomery's the workhorse. He got robbed of a couple goal line carries there, and towards the end it was like garbage time and they pulled him out. There was even a situation where Reynolds was trying to come out of the game towards the end, and they were gonna put Montgomery in, and Montgomery was like, no, stay, like you get the touchdown. Come on, like I'm sitting out, like you go get it. Like he's such an unselfish guy. Like that was I mean, I didn't like it for my DFS lineup, but just seeing that was kind of cool. Like him trying to get like the younger guys a touchdown. Like that just shows he's a selfless player, team guy, wants everyone to eat. Like that's really awesome. Um anyways, Bijan Robinson, 7,200. Okay. If you think Ritter is a player, then bet on Bijan. Because now he's not going to be chalky. Bet on Bijan because now defenses can't just focus on him. Now they have to actually consider, oh, there's a guy back there that knows how to pass the ball. It's not AndrewDFS passing the ball out there. We actually need to cover people. Okay. Well, what defenses have actually been doing for Bijan, Bijan's not really the best inside runner. He likes going outside. And defenses have really caught on to this and just not letting him like get out in the perimeter. So I'm hoping that if Ritter is good, then defenses can't really just guard the perimeter like that. But I don't know. I think NFL defenses are still going to stay for at least a couple more weeks. Do it again. Ritter, you beat us. Bijan, you're not beating us. But I can see the logic for Bijan. ETN is another one that you can play that's not going to be chalky. Jacobs is someone not going to be chalky, and he really hasn't had his pop game. But guys, he doesn't look good, so I don't know. I don't really like Jacobs. Maybe he's just taking some time to like really find his own. But I think like the under 7,000 options are much better. So starting off with Kamara, you're going up against the Houston defense there, where they're not the best against the run. And in the first week back, in Kamara's first week back, he had 75% of the snaps. Second week, 63%. But keep in mind, they were blowing the bricks off in New England. I think that like that backfield is solely Kamara's, and Carr loves to pepper this guy with targets, like check down, check down, check down. Whatever Jacobs was doing last year, that's what Kamara's much better running back than Jacobs ever will be or ever has been. So Carr is definitely going to check the ball down a lot. I love this play. Unfortunately, it's chalky, but again, I'll eat the chalk from a running back. I don't care. Like as long as it's not 80, like you're not 80%. Like I played Montgomery last week and he had a 40% usage rate. With running backs, I've learned that I just give me my 20-30 points. Like I'm not trying to go for 50. Although CMC can certainly do that. And maybe there's somebody else on this slate that can do that too. More to follow. Kenneth Walker, no. Not against Cincy. No way. Jonathan Taylor, forget it. Zach Moss looks like the better running back right now. I don't want anything to do with Jonathan Taylor. Kyron Williams. Okay, so you haven't really heard his name too much in Arizona run D. It's a favorable matchup, but they did stop Mixon. Like I would only play it to be contrarian here because not a lot of people are on Kyron, but not my favorite play, but I understand it. But much rather play this over like Jacobs over CMC. Like I rather just like take, and it's just due to salary, guys. Not saying that like if I can have both of them for any salary, yeah, I'm for sure taking CMC. But um, anyways, Mostert. Mostert is the David Montgomery of this week. Everyone's going to be on him. Game script is going to be favorable for him. No Achan. Carolina run D bad. Um, and game script is going to be all for him. Miami should throttle these guys, which means Mostert's just going to run the clock out. But, you know, Miami's very aggressive on both sides of the ball. So um, I like him. I can accept the chalk with him, and you should consider him. Mostert plus Miami. It's going to be chalky. Definitely going to be chalky, but this is the type of chalk you bite. Breece Hall. Pass. Philly, I don't. Their run D's better than their. You attack Philly through the air, not through the ground. Even though Jalen Carter is out, Breece Hall is really freaking good, guys. But I think this is Wilson. I think this is a Wilson show. Um. Okay. Let's start. Moving a little bit. I like Rashad White. I always like Rashad White. I have this like, I don't know. I'll always want to play him at 5,500, even though Detroit D is really good, guys. Like he's gonna pop one week, and like I'll always chase him. Maybe not this week. Maybe I won't play him this week, but I'll always advocate for White. And one guy I just skipped over because I skipped over two guys. Sorry, I'm not done with this $6,000 guys. I think there's a lot of options here that might pop. Mixon. Mixon is a candidate to go for 40. You heard me. He's a candidate to go over 40 points in week 6. Why? Seattle run D, not all that great. Seattle pass D's, okay. Weather's not that great either. So it might dictate um, a running script. Mixon's been looking good. They're going to be at home. Mixon always has this 1 week where he pops. I think this is going to be the week. Swift is another one. People are off of Swift. People are not on Mixon either, by the way. Both Swift and Mixon not chalky. So you attack the Jets on the ground, not through the pass. And Swift has been crushing guys. Like, how is he not chalky? I don't get it. Like, maybe there's something wrong with my. Maybe like people are like really just fawning over like other options, but man, look at these carries. Like this is these 16, 14, 17. That's with Gainwell back, and he's getting 6 catches, guys. Like this is a great option. I love Swift this week. I'm not like I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think Swift has that potential too. Maybe not 40, because the Eagles have a lot going on for them. Not saying that since he doesn't, but it's gonna be the game script's gonna be mainly tilted towards Mixon, in my opinion. Anyways, let's scroll down. Let's keep going down. The Mercado could be an option if you know that Keontae Ingram's out, but unfortunately, this game is in the second half of the day, so you got to be very careful with it. If he's out, I like that play a lot. Scrolling down further, I don't want anything to do with these guys. Is there one guy I want to mention? Yes, I do. Mr. Foreman, 4,400, guys. We talked about him earlier. There's no one behind him. Weather might dictate for you to play the running. Foreman in these matchups historically has just killed it. Like tough defense. He's the only guy back there. He just somehow, some way finds a way to the end zone. Like Foreman at 4,400, like will allow you to play a Cup, an Adams, this, that, and the third. Like he's one of those cheap players you just play. He's gonna be chalky, but screw it, just play him. Hubbard. Hubbard with no Miles Sanders back there. I like that a lot. He has looked really good this season. Better than Miles Sanders probably ever has in his career. Yeah, you heard me. I'm not a big Miles Sanders guy. 4,300. I'll take that. Checkdowns, checkdowns from Bryce Young. I'm all for that. Let's check out what he's been doing. Um, Again, like Sanders is going to be in this game. I wish this guy. I mean, Sanders isn't going to be playing this game. I wish that um he what do you call it? Yeah, I mean he hasn't really been doing well. I apologize for that long pause, but I wish that salary was cheaper. Like, come on, man. Like you go down from 5,000, he hasn't been doing well. I wish it was like at 4 grand, but I can't get everything I want. Anyways, I think that's the last guy I want to bring up running back wise. Then you get down here and these guys don't really play. So, um anyways, wide receiver. Okay. Wide receiver. First one, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a funny fantasy player. One week he explodes, the next week he doesn't. One week he explodes, the next week he's calm. I think he's gonna be calm here. I think this is the type of game where Carolina just like is so freaking bad. The only reason Carolina's sixth against receivers, guys, it's not that they have a shutdown secondary. It's that they fall behind so quickly that teams are just running the ball on them. So don't kid yourself and think that like this is a bad matchup. No, like Tyreek's probably gonna have like a long touchdown or something, but I don't think he's gonna be in the game long enough. I don't think the volume's gonna be there for to justify the 9,300. The other 9,000 guy I like Cup. I think he can explode. I think he can be that 50-point guy. Chase 8,300 going up against a Seattle secondary that maybe hasn't had all its pieces all year. I think now Witherspoon's like coming to his own. I think Woolen's going to be in this game as well. So I'd be careful with this one. I think especially in bad weather, I don't know that Chase is going to like from a 3 touchdown game and Higgins might play too. From a 3 touchdown game, he's going to like match that and justify his salary. Like it just seems too good to be true. Adams, why aren't you cheaper, my guy, man? Like he didn't have his best game. DraftKings is not making it easy by pricing him at 8,000, but he's due, guys. He's really due. He's pissed. They did not get him the ball against his former team. I promise you, he's going up to McDaniels and Garoppolo saying like, "Hey, every single day of this week, throw me the damn ball." Puka Nakua. I'm never gonna say anything bad about him, but at 8,000, I rather pay $1,000 more and get the real deal, not the bootleg cup. Even though bootleg cup is great and I love him, but no, not at 8 grand. AJ Brown, he popped 2 last week. He's been, when he asked since he's asked for the ball, he's been getting all the targets, all the love. So yeah, stay. I wouldn't go AJ Brown, especially against Sauce. Amon-Ra St. Brown, so it looks like he's okay because his injury tag's gone. Maybe I missed something there. Practice in full. Lines may list. So I don't know. I thought I saw he was a game time decision. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Waddle. Waddle, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, had an abdomen injury in the preseason. Amon-Ra got his ab injury later, but ab injuries for wide receivers are really bad, and he hasn't looked right since then. So I'd be very careful playing Waddle, even though he got his touchdown. He's sort of like they forced it to him. Like he doesn't look the same this season. I don't think that's going to be a trend for the future. Like I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's going through something. Godwin. Why? Why is this guy 6,900? And Evans too, 7,100. What the heck? That's weird. That they have no business being priced this high. Oh, I get. Okay, so he went crazy against New Orleans. Interesting. Um, so 6,400 to 65 off one good game. Yeah, no, thank you. I rather go Rashad White there. Rashad White's my boy. I love him. Um, there was one more guy, Devonte Smith. That's who I wanted to talk about. He really hasn't been getting any of the targets since AJ Brown sort of had his like public meltdown on TV. Maybe this is it. Maybe Sauce is going to be on AJ And now this is going to be a Devontae Smith week, but he's been relatively quiet this season. 7,000 is a pretty penny to pay for Devontae, who, okay, so I guess he's had one game, but like, look at that, man. Like, he only had 5 targets in that game. He's only had, so he's either getting 5 targets flat or 9 and 10. I think this is the week where he does well. Like, he's been 3 straight weeks without a touchdown. I think it's his turn to eat. And Sauce is not going to be on it. Okay. Metcalf pass. Ridley, I play him. We talked about him. Olave, maybe, but I just can't see that offense exploding 2 weeks in a row. DJ Moore. DJ Moore, why are you $6,500? This is crazy to me. Like, I would definitely play him at that price, but if it's just pouring rain, then pass and defer to next week. Higgins pass. He's coming off an injury. Pittman, I would play with Minshew. Pittman's been relatively quiet. Let's look up his stats too real quick. Let's see what this guy's been doing. So Pittman, yeah, like look at this. 11, 12, 11. And I think that some of these targets were Minshew. Minshew played this Baltimore game. He played some of No, he only played like 1 second of Jacksonville. Oh, but he played in Houston because AR went down in Houston as well. So AR went down in Jacksonville towards the end, and Minshew got 1 snap. AR went down in the second quarter of Houston. He didn't play in Baltimore. And in Tennessee, he only had 7 targets. So I think this could be a Pittman week, but a lot of people are going to be on Downs. So Downs has been that popular play at receiver for the Colts. So that's why I like Pittman, and he's not chalky. Ayuk, Debo, bad weather, guys. And look at that. Cleveland's number 1 against the receivers. Interesting. Play that. Thielen at 5,900 is not going to be chalky because he's expensive now. So let's look at Thielen's stock. Thielen's stock is like Tesla during COVID. Check this out, guys. 4,600, 39, 39, 45, 51, 59, and if he explodes again, he's going to go up to the 6,000 range next week. So with Thielen, you are betting on garbage time, but I don't hate it, guys. I don't hate it, but I probably won't do it. It's just Bryce Young's too nasty. I just rather play the defense and the running back there against Bryce Young. Or you can play Hubbard. I like Hubbard this week, but Sanders needs to be out for me to actually pull the trigger on that. And I don't know if he's 100% confirmed out. Cooper without Watson, no thanks. Jacoby Myers, yeah, I'll pass on that too, even though that's actually a revenge game for Myers. So for Myers, this is funny. Garoppolo, Myers, McDaniels. Interesting. So with Myers, they got the money that they were going to pay him and just gave it to, I think, Juju. So yeah, look how well that panned out. Myers is a way better player than Juju. I didn't get that. Jordan Addison without Jefferson. Guys, the reason why Addison was good in producing is because Jefferson was drawing multiple people in coverage. You got to put like 2 or 3 guys on Justin Jefferson. Otherwise, it's just going to break free and it's going to be a long day for you. Now, when he is the primary option, I do not believe that he's going to be able to beat like a double team or something like that. He's not there yet. I don't know if he ever will be. I don't think he'll ever be like that alpha wide receiver. But anyways, TBD. Lockett pass. Nico could be in for a bounce back week. He was largely bottled up by AJ Terrell last week. We talked about that. So I could see that. I could see a bounce back for Nico. And Tank Dell is going to most likely be out. I think he's in concussion protocol and he's down here. McLaurin, I'd stay away from Atlanta pass D. I think McLaurin's going to be shadowed by Terrell. Be very careful when playing pass catches against Atlanta. This isn't the 2022 Falcons. So they got off the Matt Ryan and Julio Jones contracts and they poured some money into that defense, which we've seen Cincy do in the past, where Cincy went and bought a defense and all of a sudden they were good. And that happened in their Super Bowl run. Like before then, Cincy defense was kind of a joke. Falcons are kind of following that model, except they don't have Burrow. Yeah, uh, following the model without the quarterback. Um, anyways, Kirk, I could see him doing well as well, but he's gonna be very chalky, so I'm probably gonna pass on him and rather go Ridley. Ridley's the more explosive guy, and he's not gonna be chalky. So if people are all over Kirk, I'm gonna take Ridley and go a little contrary in there. Tutu, I'm gonna pass on. He looks like the third wheel to Puka and Cup. Marquise Brown, I think he can be an okay play, but I'm gonna pass because he's chalky and he's questionable. So forget it. Thomas, I'll pass on that even though he's really cheap. London, a lot of people are on London too, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Let's open him up. Let's take a little closer look at Mr. London. London 9 target. Guys, his target share is actually not that bad. Maybe. Maybe London, but he's chalky. So I would only do it to like free up salary at other positions. Not really go like over the moon with the play. Reynolds could be okay if Amon-Ra St. Brown's out. He did well last week, no Laporta. So I mean, yeah, let's chuck him out too. He burned me this week when I played him against the Falcons because he was coming off an injury, but 9.9, 17.6, like not bad. Like if you take this Falcons game out, like he's been crushing guys like 12, 9, 23, 17.6. For a guy priced up 4,500, like that, those are really good stats. KJ Osborne, I could see play. I could see the play there, but I'm gonna pass just because the weather might not be great, and Osborne has some pretty crappy hands. Um, moving down, I like Downs, but he's gonna be chalky. I because he's 4,100, I'm okay if you want to play him. Um, we're almost done with the receivers. We talked about Michael Wilson. I could see the play there. Who else do I like down here? I like Rondale Moore too. Watch for him. Let's see what Braxton Berrios did last week. We talked about him a little bit as a cheap guy. Yeah, so he only had 2 targets, which is good. I mean, people will get off of him. So again, maybe people got enamored with this 6 right here, um, including myself. I thought there was a trend there, but it wasn't. So forget it. Trenton Irwin. If I got his name right. Is it Trenton or Trent? Trenton Irwin. Oof. 10 targets, guys. That is interesting. At 3,300, that is something that you want to look into. So, if Higgins is out, that's the only way I'd consider that play. I like it better than than Chase or Boyd, honestly. Um, let's also look at Mac Hollins for Atlanta. Everyone's all over Pitts in London because they're their names, but so yeah, he doesn't really get too many targets. So yeah, I would stay off of him. Never mind. Um, not like Jonnu Smith who gets more targets than Pitts, but yet people are all over Pitts and not with Jonnu. Jonnu is Desmond Ritter's boy. Um, I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about receiver wise. Okay. Hit all my points. I did. Okay, let's move on to tight ends. So for tight ends, gotta get all the way to the top. Hawkinson is expensive, but I would play him. I like him in this matchup, but you got to watch out for the weather. If the weather's bad, forget about it and just only consider Foreman. Kittle, not replicating his performance against Dallas here in bad weather. This is going to be a heavy run day for San Francisco, so I'd stay away. I'd stay away from Kittle. One guy to consider from San Francisco if you want to get really creative, because 49ers are gonna go crazy on the Browns. Like the Browns are gonna not have Watson or whatever. So I think they're playing PJ Walker. Like he's probably going to get another 10 carries. And 10 carries behind the San Francisco O-line, that is a plus matchup. And maybe the 49ers are going to say, you know what, like in bad weather, let's not risk McCaffrey too much against a pretty good D. Like let's let Mason get in there. He looked good. Maybe he's going to get some carries. So I actually like that play. I like that play. Um Dallas Goddard against the Jets secondary, who they're very good with corners on the outside with the receivers, but with tight ends, they're allowing the second most points. So could he do it again? Yes. I don't know that I love that. So I think I'm gonna pay down again for tight end. That's where I'm leaning. Evan Ingram's another guy. He hasn't really exploded yet. Like I think the Ridley edition has really been like eating into his target share. So whoa, that's kind of cool. 888 4 8s. He's averaging 8 targets a game. But guys, it's not enough. 4,500. Like I need like 16, 18 points out of this guy. Like no bueno. It's not. This could be it though. Like he hasn't hit the pay dirt, but he is the chalkiest tight end play so far. So be careful. Scrolling down, Ertz is okay. 20 Rams allowing a lot of points to the tight end, but that could have just been a Goddard thing with them just focusing on AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You know, like just let Goddard go crazy. Pitts, people are all over him, but I don't know. Jonnu Smith gets a lot of targets, guys. So if you think Desmond Ritter's it 6'8", 6'7", like this is great for a tight end, 3,400. You just need 12 points, like 12, 14 points, and you're good. Like not hard to do. And the guy hasn't scored a touchdown yet. Like he's heavily involved in the game. So Pitts is definitely the name, and he has the explosion. He can go for an 80-yard touchdown. But Jonnu is Desmond Ritter's guy. So we'll see. Conklin, another one I like. Conklin, cheap guy. He gets his targets too. I don't think he went too crazy yesterday, but I'm sorry, last week. But look at that. 6'5", 6'5". Like that's okay for 3,300. You're not paying much. You're just hoping the guy gets a touchdown. So if you want to go like Wilson and Conklin, or I like the Wilson play better. I don't think I would do both. That's like a really heavy jet stack, but um I can see it. I just wouldn't want to do it. Anything else down here we're talking about? I don't think so. Let me glance at my notes and we are okay. So guys, we're in the home stretch. Defense, and then we're gonna just go inside the FSL website to just talk about that optimizer really quick. And they're an affiliate with us at FFMetrics, but let's just talk quickly through defenses. So 49ers are going to be the chalkiest play, rightfully so. They're 4 grand. They're 4 grand, but guys, like with a defense, let me just pull it up here. This D can put points on the board. So 13, 16, you're going to need a game like this, like a 16-point game, okay? So if they have a 2 and you paid 4,700, no bueno. That's not good. But they're set up pretty nicely here, and a lot of people wanted to play them against the Cardinals. Guys, this is a killer. 4,700 and you only got 2 points, like no way. Forget that. It's better to just like at that point just go with the cheapest D and pray that they get a touchdown. Heck, Miami, who did they play? Giants. Giants, I think, had a defensive TD in that game. Like that's it. They were 2,000 and they put up 6 points. Like from that touchdown alone, guys. At 2,000, you just need 8 points. You need a defensive touchdown. And if you think the Panthers can somehow just like have a miracle kick return, like I'd rather bet on that than to bet that a D will just throttle somebody. Like because you can survive a 0 from a 2,000 player, but you can't survive getting 2 points from a $5,000 player. Um, Hopefully that makes sense because you open up your salary for more explosive players. Defenses are not explosive, but if you find the right one, it does make your week too. So keep that in mind as well. I would not play Raiders at 3,900. They need way too many points. I know it's a favorable matchup, but forget it. Not gonna play Philly against the Jets. Um, Rams against Arizona, no way. Not not with my boy Dobbs back there. Forget that. Um, Falcons D is okay. A Bijan Falcons D stack. It gives me like nausea a little bit, but I could see the logic in it. Carolina, like, why is the Falcons Z $100 more than Miami against Bryce Young? People really need to realize what Bryce Young is. Like, Miami's defense is better and Bryce Young's worse. Like, how are the Falcons pricier than how are the Falcons pricier than the Dolphins? Beats me. I love this play with the Dolphins. So Dolphins plus Mostert, eat the chalk there. Miami D's not too chalky. Again, SF is the chalkiest play. Just pray it's going to be a low scoring game. Just pray that somehow like SFD doesn't do well. Like I rather go with that than to play them at 4 grand. Um, let's keep going down the list. Saints is okay. I could see the logic. Um, Bolts, I don't know. I wouldn't play that. Commanders, I'd rather play the Commanders over playing the Falcons, but it's still expensive and there's more pieces I like down here. Definitely not Minnesota against Fields. Nope. I think Fields woke up. I like the Bengals here. I can see the play for the Bengals. Um Lions at 2,700 might be the best bang for your buck. I don't know why people aren't like Lions. So you can go Montgomery plus Lions stack one more time here if you wanted to do that. So Montgomery's not chalky, Detroit's not chalky. So Detroit D is good, guys. They're for real. I didn't believe it in the preseason, but they're here and they're good. Um, you really wanted to. There's one play here towards the bottom that I could just see like panning out because of the weather. Browns at 2,200. Guys, Browns D is really good. Okay? Like Browns D is going to be fine in this game. It's their offense that we're worried about. They're going up against the best offense in the league, but guys, they can put up points. Yeah, they didn't do so against Baltimore, but the weather's crap. So if you want to just say, you know what, I rather save that instead of playing um 3,500. Like I'd rather save that 1,300 and soup up one of my receivers and just pray that the Browns just get a fumble recovery, get a touchdown, something, get a sack. Like you don't need much out of them. You literally don't need much. You need like 8 points. Can you just get me 8 points? If they provide you 8 points, that's 4x, and that's our number, guys. We love 4x. 4x is the number you want to hit, and 4x meaning like multiply 4 by their salary. Like that's great. 8.8 points. Like they can do it. I know they can do it. So if you want to gamble on it, go for it. But it is a gamble. So let me put that caveat there. Okay. Okay. Went a little bit over on the 1 hour mark, but let's also talk about FSL. So Fantasy Sports Logic. This is an optimizer that's partnered up with FFMetrics. We provide them with projections, and they have like 7 different sites where we're uploading, where they're uploading projections. Looks like it's 6. Maybe one of the guys dropped out, or I thought it was 7. So this is great for just like getting a gauge on ownership projections and putting in lineups, generating lineups. FSL is awesome. It's a good like they won on showdown contests in the Millie Maker. They've won twice, so they've been really hot. This algorithm's worked. It's proven that it's gonna work. So yeah, check them out. And definitely this is one of the better optimizers on the market. So you could see here the chalkiest plays. Look at that. Raheem Mostert, 46.8%. Like that's getting close to Montgomery territory last week, but I see the logic behind it. Kirk, 40.9%. Sheesh. It's a little much. 40.9 for Kirk? That's insane. 33.4 for Chase. 32.9 for Hubbard. I'm okay with Hubbard because he's cheap. So who cares? Just let him like just eat the chalk with the cheap players. Like, and he's cheap and projected to do well. So as long as Sanders is out, it's okay. Kamara, chalky, 31, but he can do well. Another chalk you can bite. Ingram, 31.7. Yeah, like look at Ingram and Downs, like 31. Like anything higher than 30 is hard. Tyreek fade. CMC fade. Like that's tough. Those are players that I'm like a little more iffy on this. So that does it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel. Follow us on Twitter at FFMetrics. Check out RC's site at FFmetrics.com for the number one projections on the market. And you'll also get game summaries. You'll get waiver wire pickups, buy low, sell high. And on top of it, you have RC, myself, and Chris Bolello from Bet the Close providing our picks every week for handicapping purposes, for survivor picks. We make our picks against the spread and straight up. Guys, it is a content utopia. You have to subscribe. It's cheap, $10 a month. You get all of this content from us. So with that, I am out. Best of luck on all of your betting endeavors in week 6. And I hope one of the listeners on this show is the Millie Maker winner in week 6. So best of luck to all of you. I am out of here.